Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Random Trek. I am your grateful captain, Christopher Ingle, joined as always by my first officer, a very grateful first officer, Commander Brennan, the Mystical Mar. Brennan, are you grateful?
Yes.
Today, we are taking a trip to Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 10, Fascination. Ah, I've been plugging this for a while. This is another, not the last one, but it's another appearance by Majel Barrett as Luoxana Troy.
More trouble.
You ever notice that when she comes aboard, there's nothing but trouble in any series?
That seems to be the case, yes.
Oh, I love her so much, though. She's fabulous. But yes. So, how did you feel about this episode going in?
I had never seen this one. Um, I was aware of it,
Mhm.
but I had never seen it. And it's all kinds of ridiculous.
So much so. I often say, oftentimes, that Star Trek often becomes very Shakespearean, but this is very Shakespearean.
Very, very.
Well, let's get into the plot, and then we'll talk about the connections to Shakespeare. So, the DS9 crew is getting ready for the Bajoran Gratitude Festival. It's ready to perform the opening ceremony. She gets distracted by the arrival of her boyfriend, Vedic Barile. Meanwhile, Miles is getting excited because Keiko is coming back to the station from her job on Bajor with their daughter, which is just so great. Everybody's going to be happy. It's going to be wonderful. But who else should arrive with them but one Luoxana Troy?
Dun, dun, dun.
So she starts looking for Odo because if you remember, she's got a thing for Odo. And has really developed feelings for him after their last encounter. So, as the festival starts, Luoxana starts getting these headaches that keep coming and going. Every time she experiences one, the people around here seem disoriented and they start to experience a lust for someone else. Um, some affected. Jake Sisko ends up in love, well, in love, quote, quote, with Major Kira. Vedic Barile is in love with Jadzia. Dax herself is trying to seduce Sisko, which is hilarious.
Yes.
Even Kira and Bashir are the only ones who um, don't seem to really be affected. So meanwhile, Keiko and Miles um, have a discussion that Keiko's job is going to last at least another 7 months, and they start to have a little bit of a lover spat. Um, Miles wants her to stay on the station because he misses her, and he kind of regrets helping her to get the job in the first place. Keiko gets mad at him, storms away, goes to their quarters. Um, but Miles realizes he loves her, and he goes and he apologizes to her. And he says, you know what? And mind you, he can't see her. He apologizes and says, listen, I will resign my commission. I will go with you wherever you want to go. And they end up reconciling, which is just adorable. This kind of relationship is really a wonderful piece here, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But at the party, Dax starts to get annoyed with Barile's attention, and it's distracting her from her pursuit of Cisco, and ends up punching him. Quark ends up arriving with food and then bumps into Loxana. Loxana's starting to have a headache again. Um, so then Quark gets affected and he grabs Keiko and insists he's in love with Keiko. And um, they quickly realize that it's Loxana. So we find out that she's just sick with Xanthi fever, which is an illness that makes her project her impulses onto the people surrounding her because she is a very powerful psychic. She's a telepath.
A telepath, yes, the
Right.
Bajorans.
Forgive me. I have been watching Babylon 5 and there is a differentiation and
Yes,
yeah.
very much so.
In Babylon they're psychics. Here they're telepaths. Well, they even call them telepaths. Anyway, if I move on.
Psychor, Psychor.
Psycho, yeah. Well, anyway. Um so everyone else should be returning to normal soon. But we find out actually that the two that weren't affected actually were Keiko and O'Brien, and they're happy with each other again.
Yes, and when we thought Bashir and Kira were not affected,
Mm,
until they suddenly went crazy and yeah,
yeah. It's a
or
wacky
making out uncontrollably.
it's kind of a very wacky episode that it made mention to Shakespeare. It's very loosely based on it's basically acts 2 through 4 of Midsummer Night's Dream,
Yes.
especially dealing with the cross of relationships that is
Oh
going
yes.
on. Huh. But this really just comes off as a goofy, ridiculous episode, except the really heartwarming relationship between Keiko and Miles.
Mhm.
You know, and this is something as a working dad who is away from his family a lot because I commute. My classroom is I work an hour and a half away. So I have 3 hours round trip. And sometimes I am at that city to save gas for a week. I'll stay there for a week because it saves
Mhm.
money. I miss my family. I miss not being with them. And sometimes I'm like, why did I even take this job? Why, I understand where Miles is coming from, missing his family,
Yeah.
not being there. And it's just so nice that Miles, is just one of the best, well-rounded characters. So much so.
Yeah, I would agree.
Um, what was some of your feelings on this episode?
It's very silly.
Yes.
Um, it goes wild. It was very entertaining, but not very substantive.
No, and actually, you found it entertaining. I was uncomfortable at a lot of points.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
And I guess that's part of the quirky humor. But it definitely made me uh very uncomfortable at spots. Um, but one of the things I really loved this callback and this reference. So when Keiko arrives, Keiko says, or bro Brian's like, well, we're gonna go ahead and go to the festival. She's like, well, I thought I'd rest for a little bit and then change. And he's like, oh, are you gonna wear that red dress? That red dress is tight. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It's these little back and forths that a husband and wife will have. Well, in the end, who shows up at the ceremony with or at dinner with the red dress, but Keiko.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's those little things. I think she understands that her husband is just frustrated and misses her and wants to be with her. But as a married man, I really related to this. This was one of the first times I've really in Star Trek ever seen a husband and wife act like a real husband and wife.
It's true.
And I think this has inspiration down the line because when we get into Picard and we find out there is roughness in the third season between Riker and Troy,
Yeah.
that it's not all roses and candy. Oh. It's a really nice episode, and I despite all of the very Shakespearean elements to it, I found their element to be that breath of fresh air, that sense of realism, that lesson that we learn, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but we also have to talk about the first lady of Star Trek, Majel Barrett.
Oh, yes.
I kind of feel actually her presence in this of all the times that she has been there as Loxana Troy, this overall is kind of her weakest.
I would agree, yes.
We have seen her as a major plot point in so many different episodes. Um, and there are ones I could think of right away that I absolutely love. The one where she was going to get married, and they're in the mud bath with Alexander and all of that. Like,
Yes.
that's a great
Yes.
episode. Or the one with we find out about the daughter that died. Very good
Oh
episode.
man, that's a hard
Great
hitting.
episode. It is. Or even the one with the guys with the fish heads that are actually assassins.
Guys, yeah.
Again, I like that one too. Every time that she's involved, it's been really strong. Her first appearance on DS9 and that relationship with Odo was really strong. There was some sensitivity there that I loved. This, she's just there as the MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm kind of sad by that because I think this is the second to last episode she appears in. I think. Something to that extent. I'd have to dig into it, but I believe this is the second to last.
Yes.
And it's a shame because she probably is one of the best guest and most repeated guest stars in Star Trek history. But I could just be nitpicking at it too.
Yeah, but she does feel like she takes a back seat in her own episode.
Yeah, I I I,
Unfortunately.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Final thoughts on this one.
Um, it's silly fun. It's not really necessary. So you can take it or leave it.
Yeah, it's one of those that you probably could skip, and it's definitely not one of the um Michelle Barrett episodes. It's definitely not one of the better ones.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, yeah. So is what it is. All right. So next week we go to Voyager.
Ah,
I love Voyager. All right, Wheel of Morality. What do we got? Okay. Oh, I like this one. Season 2, Episode 1, The 37s. I like this one. This is
yes,
genuinely a really good idea. I like this one. This is great science fiction.
this
Uh,
should be interesting.
we
Yes,
get to meet one Miss Amelia Earhart.
indeed we do.
I am really excited for that. All right, Brennan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at brennmar.bluesky.social, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube at Page Turners They Were Not.
And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at CIngle1984. But as always, with every episode, Qapla' and live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.